called by the African People's Education and Defense Fund, Black Star Industries, and the institutions of those organizations, Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles, and Uhuru Foods and Pies. We appreciate all of you that came out today. My name is Stephanie Midler. I have the honor of being the store manager here at Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles. I work under the direct leadership of our board president, Ms. Shatella, and I'm also a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee. So I want to really start by saluting our chairman, Amalia Shatella, who's the founder and the leader of the Uhuru Movement for over 60 years. He's fought over that time for the democratic rights and freedoms of African people where they've been dispersed around the world for all of those 60 years. And I also really want to salute our board president of APDF, Ona Zanaya Shatella, who leads over 50 economic development institutions across the Uhuru Movement and is also the vice chair of Black Star Industries. So we called this press conference today to let people know about the significance of our upcoming event, our MLK Day event that's going to be held this Monday, January 16th at 10 a.m., and really encourage people to come and also to condemn the very violent FBI raids that happened on July 29th, 2002, on the home of Chairman Amalia Shatella and our board president, Ona Zanaya Shatella, as well as 6 other homes and community centers of the Uhuru Movement. And today we're here to call on you to stand with the African community to defend and support its right to build their own institution and programs to uplift and defend their communities without interference or disruption by the status quo. The African community is dealing with the same struggles for civil and human rights and the same system that opposes their rights that Martin Luther King Jr. was contending with in the 60s. So I want to introduce our first speaker today, Bakari Olatunji, who is the vice chair of Uhuru Foods and Pies and also a community liaison for Uhuru Furniture. He's going to be giving a statement from the African People's Education and Defense Fund and Black Star Industries. Uhuru Bakari.
Oh, girls, thank you, Stephanie. And I really want to appreciate everybody who's here today at this press conference. I think it's important for people to be out here, even with this inclement weather. The African People's Education Defense Fund, APEDF, Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles, and Black Star Industries, and Uhuru Foods and Pies are holding this press conference today as we prepare for this annual MLK event that's going to be on Monday, the 16th at 10 a.m. at our community center, 7911 MacArthur Boulevard in East Oakland. Every year we salute the leadership of Martin Luther King, who played a leading role in the civil rights movement in the 60s and for the rights of African and poor people to have freedom in assembly, freedom of speech, freedom to vote, and freedom to participate in equal life in the U.S. This week there's a national holiday for King, and he is publicly revered. But when he was alive, leading a mass movement, fighting for our basic human and civil rights, he was harassed, targeted, slandered, and assassinated by the U.S. government and the FBI, and that's a known fact. APDF and BSI denounced the FBI attacks on Dr. Martin Luther King, on Malcolm X, on Marcus Garvey, on Fred Hampton, and all the courageous leaders who have stood up and organized our people for freedom and justice. This is particularly critical today because our movement, the Uhuru Movement, and our leaders are under the same attack by the FBI. Our chairman, Amalia Shatella, who founded the Uhuru Movement in 1972, stated, and I'm quoting him, "Like MLK, the black community freedom struggle of today is coming under attack. The same FBI that surveilled, harassed, and killed MLK is targeting the Uhuru Movement leaders and institutions. On July 29, 2022, the FBI carried out a coordinated military pre-dawn raid on 7 offices and homes of Uhuru Movement leaders in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. They attacked my home with flashbang grenades, pointed laser sights on my chest when I came out of my house, and sent a drone that almost hit my wife, APDF board president Ona Zanaya Shatella. The FBI used battering rams to break doors. They destroyed property and stole computers, phones, files, historic documents in all 7 locations. No one was arrested, but today we face bogus charges and could be indicted at any time. APDF programs for African self-determination are being attacked today by the same system that keeps our communities impoverished and denies African people the basic human and economic rights and economic empowerment, This is an attack on the entire African community, and we call on people from all walks of life to stand with us and defend the rights of African people to organize in our own interest and create programs to solve the dire problems that our community faces daily. APDF and BSI uphold and defend the right of the African community in Oakland and around the country to organize and for political self-determination to carry on the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The MLK Day event will recognize MLK and all black leaders and millions of working people who have fought for the democratic rights of the African community for decades, work that is being carried out today by the Uhuru Movement. Chairman Omala Yeshitela has fought, as we've heard, for over 60 years, starting in the 60s with the struggle of our right to vote, and has since built a movement bringing Africans together worldwide for our liberation. This is why they attacked then, and this is why they are attacking now. Under the current system, the conditions of our community have not improved in the past 60 years. And I know that as a fact because I've been in here in Oakland for all of those 60 years. California has the 4th highest GDP in the world. Yet, here in Oakland, life expectancy for the black community of East Oakland is 15 years less than those living in the Oakland Hills just miles away. In Alameda County, the black community has the lowest life expectancy of any group. Infant mortality for black babies is over 4 times higher than for white babies, and the black community has the highest rate of death from all cancers. The list of disparities can go on. Under the powerful and visionary leadership of Onezene Yeshitela, APDF Board President, APDF is leading in providing the solutions for these devastating conditions faced by the black community and through building economic programs and institutions for self-determination, including Uhuru Furniture that provides jobs training, and work experience programs. APDF and BSI under the Uhuru Movement has been upholding the human and civil rights of the African community for over 36 years, working to end the disparities in health care, education, and to build an independent economy for black people. Black Power Blueprint is a comprehensive community development plan that APDF is leading in St. Louis, Missouri, to transform our impoverished black neighborhoods into positive, self-reliant communities with self-run programs to uplift our conditions in every aspect. Access to healthy food, health care, economic development, and education in our own interest. It is a blueprint that can be replicated in every city. Thus, Black Power Blueprint. Projects include a community center, community gardens, a farmer's market, a state-of-the-art basketball court, a doula training program, an African Women's Health Center, an African Independence Workforce Program providing job training and housing for people coming out of the oppressive prison system, and much more. And that is why the FBI is attacking. Uhuru Furniture has been an important institution in Oakland since 1989 and in Philadelphia since 1995. Thousands of people know and love Uhuru through our furniture stores. The people of Oakland support the right of underdeveloped African community to build our own solutions and to pose our own solutions to conditions imposed on us by this system. Every year, thousands of people support the Uhuru Movement by buying Uhuru pies for the holidays and special events. We have the right to independent economic development, job training, and job opportunities, the black community-led programs and institutions that meet our needs so that African women don't have to give birth so that African women don't have to die giving birth to our children, so that African babies don't have to die in their first year of life, so our communities can grow and thrive and develop like all communities strive to do. We have the right to do this without government interference, intimidation, harassment, or imprisonment. The FBI called King a terrorist, but he committed no crimes. The Uhuru Movement has committed no crimes. The U.S. has historically attacked the African freedom movement, assassinated our leaders, destroyed our neighborhoods with gentrification, imprisoned masses of African people for crimes white people don't even go to prison for. And for us, they keep us impoverished and dependent. We call on the community of Oakland to join the hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who are standing up to the demands of hands off Uhuru, hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, hands off Africa, and our right to self-determination and freedom. Come out to Aquaba Hall at 7911 MacArthur Boulevard in Oakland on Monday to participate in our ML Day of Service. We have a powerful program in the morning to inform you about the historic struggles of our movement and the struggle for black freedom that continues today with the Uhuru Movement. We will go out in the community to distribute literature about Uhuru furniture and Uhuru pies and come back together for lunch, prizes, and awards. Support and defend the human and civil rights of the African community and economic self-determination and programs of the African People's Education Defense Fund and Black Star Industries. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you so much, Bakri, for that very powerful statement. I also want to introduce Maureen Wagner, who's going to give a statement from the African People's Solidarity Committee. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you for that introduction, Stephanie, and thank you for that powerful statement, Bakri Olatunji, who, in addition to the roles already mentioned, is the Western Regional Representative of the African People's Socialist Party. And I'm honored to be a part of this press conference this morning and to be able to work in Uhuru Foods and Pies and also volunteer at Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles. And you can see how beautiful and dynamic these economic development institutions of Black Star Industries and the African People's Education and Defense Fund are. I'm a proud member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which is an organization that was formed by and led by the African People's Socialist Party Chairman, Omali Yeshitela, and the African People's Socialist Party itself, calling on white people to carry out our role and responsibility to do work in the white community, to win reparations, and a stand of solidarity and unity with the struggle of African people for the just self-determination and freedom. I want to recognize and salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who has struggled relentlessly for over 60 years, as Bakri has said, and is responsible for the unbroken continuity of the struggle for African liberation. I want to recognize and salute our direct leadership in these economic institutions, Onizime Yeshitela, who leads over 50 economic institutions and programs of the Uhuru Movement, and is a brilliant leader and architect of the Black Power Blueprint Project in St. Louis, Missouri. Under Onizime's leadership, on the very same day as the FBI attacks on July 29th, 14 African women were trained to be doulas, addressing the conditions that Bakri already mentioned, and this is part of the Uhuru Wakalia Community Health Center program. The FBI raids on July 29th were a vicious, violent attack. Multiple agents came armed and in full military force, in armored vehicles, with drones, with high-grade weapons, with flashbang grenades, and drones. As the chairman has said, they could have knocked on the door and said they had a search warrant, but they came with brutal aggression. If the chairman had made one false move, they would have killed him. The raids were an attempt in part to intimidate support for the Uhuru Movement and to disrupt and isolate the Uhuru Movement. The reason the FBI raids attacked the homes of 4 leading members of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the African People's Solidarity Committee, including our chairwoman, APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess, and USM Chair Jesse Neville, and they attacked the Solidarity Center in South St. Louis, is they don't want to see unity from white people with the right of African people to organize for their own rights. They don't want to see the resources flooding into the Black Power Blueprint projects that are raised as a form of reparations from white people supporting these incredible institutions and programs. The government wants us to sit by and be silent, to go along with the mass imprisonment of African people, the total lack of health care, the economic strangulation of the African community, the gentrification that chases African families out of their homes and destroys communities right here in East and West Oakland. We won't be silent. The government can and will be pushed back in its attempts to stop African people from having self-determination and any control over their lives. To stop the Black Power Blueprint, derail Uhuru Furniture and Uhuru Foods and Pies, or the historic Uhuru House Community in East Oakland and its programs, we will not let that happen. We have to participate in the powerful counteroffensive led by the chairman and the Uhuru Movement and be clear that we will not allow this to happen. We don't do this out of charity. It is in our interest. In the 60s and 70s, when the government launched COINTELPRO against the African Liberation Movement, murdered Malcolm X, murdered Martin Luther King, murdered Fred Hampton, and so many others, and imprisoned hundreds of Black Panther Party members. Rizzo in North Philadelphia, where there's another Uhuru Furniture, attacked the Black community. There were white people who wanted to participate and show support, but there was no organization to join to show our unity with the Black Power movement. But today, the Uhuru Movement has created the organization of the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, so we can work under the direct leadership of the African movement for justice and human and civil rights. We can join Uhuru Solidarity Movement, volunteer at Uhuru Furniture, or volunteer with Uhuru Pies. We can bring our skills and unity to stand up for real change and transformation. African people have always led the way in the struggle for democratic rights for every sector of society. We have to say that it is not Uhuru that is guilty. It is the system that creates the conditions where African babies die at rates at least 4 times higher than white babies right here in Alameda County, where white families have 8 times the wealth of the average Black family, where 1 in 8 people in prison in the entire world is a Black person, Black man in the United States. A system that refuses to ever let African people have any resources or thriving communities where young people could look for a positive and thriving future. Instead, young people see no future in this society, only poverty, imprisonment, or an early death. That's not normal. That's not acceptable. There are 2 totally different realities of life in America. We accept it in the white community as just how it is. But it's not normal. We think it's okay to step over the bodies of African homeless people sleeping on cardboard boxes and tarps to go to our yoga classes or get our daily cafe latte. But we have to wake up and realize that this reality is unacceptable, unsustainable, and African and other oppressed people in the US and around the world are resisting these horrendous conditions imposed on them and fighting back. George Floyd is not over. African people are killed every day by the police, and we refuse to accept this reality. As Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, the rights of all people are concentrated in the struggle of African people to be free. The African Liberation Movement has always led the way for democratic rights for all people, and that is in the interest of white people to unite and support this movement. It's this system that dropped a bomb on Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 to destroy the economic boom built by the Black community in a huge section of that city that had banks, schools, hospitals, and thriving independent economy owned by the people themselves. It's this system that dropped the bomb on MOVE organization in Philly in 1985. It's this system that brutally murdered 17-year-old Black Panther Party member Little Bobby Hutton in West Oakland in 1968, shooting at least 12 times at him as he attempted to surrender. How dare they say the Uhuru Movement, the only movement that is bringing real solutions to uplift the African community, building genuine economic development and empowerment to the people, are the ones who have committed a crime. We won't let them attack and imprison our leaders. We stand in solidarity with the absolute right of African people to have democratic rights. the right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to associate with whomever they choose, and the freedom to build genuine economic self-determination in the hands of the African working class. Join the campaign, contribute to the Defense Fund, support Uhuru Furniture and Uhuru Pies. We say Uhuru, unity through reparations, hands off Uhuru, hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, hands off Africa. Uhuru.
Hands off Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you so much, Maureen, for that statement of solidarity from the white community. As always, we wanted to open it up to anyone who wants to give a statement of support for Uhuru Furniture, Uhuru Foods and Pies against these attacks. Want to take a minute? Anybody? Well, again, let's give it another pause.
People on Facebook are saying that the volume is low.
The volume is low. I'm so sorry. We're going to project. But again, we want to really appreciate people coming out, and we really appreciate people who are viewing this online as well. And we want you to encourage you again to come out to this year's MLK Day event this Monday, January 16th at 10 o'clock a.m. at Aquaba Hall, 7911 MacArthur Boulevard in East Oakland for an amazing program where we're going to talk about MLK's legacy, the legacy of the FBI's attacks on the African liberation movement, and how people can join the movement today for African self-determination. And I want to encourage people too, if you want more information about this campaign, come to Uhuru Furniture. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. We have all the information here for MLK Day. We're open today at noon till 6. The Black Power Blueprint, the statement that was read by West Regional Representative Bakri today, our brochures. We have all the information. We want to talk to you more about it. So please come and join us on Monday. We'd love to have you. We must defend and support our institutions and our leaders, and we must push back these attacks against this movement. So we just want to end by saying, hands off, Uhuru!
All right.
Thank you so much.